Welcome back to the Pulse Advantage podcast. In this episode, we're going to spend some time talking about why even buy a private plane? What's the reason behind people buying private jets? So stay tuned to the very end as we talk about private jets and why people buy them. So Daniel, what are some of the factors for individuals and businesses to invest in a private jet versus or instead of using commercial aircrafts?
Okay, so the biggest thing we talked about in the last episode obviously is the cost of these aircraft. What is the owner of a jet or a business looking to buy a private jet? What are they willing to spend? And then obviously that versus commercial obviously being cheaper. But the biggest factor we all know, because most of us fly commercially, is time delays, lines, how long it takes to really, if you consider a 2-hour flight on like American Airlines or United, how long is that 2-hour trip gonna take city to city? So I think one of those biggest factors also is if I buy this jet and offsetting the cost of this aircraft, what does it save me in time? Because predominantly that's what these machines are used for.
Right, absolutely. So Danny, how do private jets contribute to time efficiency and productivity for these high net worth individuals or even corporations?
Okay, so when they're looking at assessing the efficiency with these aircraft, you got to think of it. Most of these owners and operators are vehicle onto the plane, onto destination, right? So that's simplified. But when you think about it, when we're talking efficiency, right? That operator or that business owner or that entrepreneur is getting on that aircraft. Here's the biggest factor. It's theirs. It's private. There's no stressors of other, strangers and outsiders and the noise and the rowdiness that we all experience when we do travel, unfortunately, day to day. So you consider after a long trip, the user of the aircraft, right, will experience, you got to also think the amenities of that aircraft. Super fast Wi-Fi lets them consume data, Zoom calls, phone calls, everything's at a touch of their fingertips. To do anything they need to do, they can do in the office. So you think about it, a power meeting that's coming up, New York to Chicago, how much they can get accomplished while in the air on that short trip from New York to Chicago. Rest also is a big factor, right? The stressors of how much rest could I get, and also how productive I can be flying that aircraft to whatever their destination is. So those are the key contributors of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about efficiency and productivity, think about it. Let's say you run a hedge fund or you're in insurance, and let's say you have 2 destinations. Like let's say you got to go from Miami to New York to Chicago. I mean, realistically, in commercial airlines, I mean, that's not happening in one day.
No.
I mean, there's just no way you're going to go to 2 different cities from one city in one day and do your business trips. So
Exactly.
Private aviation gives you that luxury, right?
Absolutely. So you think about it, right, as you just said, if you got a multi-city stop and you got to do it in one day, I've seen operators throughout my career. Because you got to think about it, it's not really just the destinations, right? It's not like us where we're like, hey, we're going to New York for the weekend and we're going to do what we got to do. These people are, when I get A to B, I need to conduct this sort of business, right? And then after that, a quick bite to eat, lunch, dinner, whatever it is, I need to get to my second stop because I have a power meeting set up with new clients or whatever the case may be. Commercial just totally eliminates that because by the time in commercial you get through security, you board the plane, delays, whatever else happens, and you get to that city, there's probably very little time to even consider another stop in the same day.
Yeah, and you can't count out. You could probably come back home if you wanted to
Yes,
at the very end of that long trip and just sleep right on the plane, right?
Exactly. You can take a long day, and a lot of these operators do that.
Yeah.
Where they do, that what we call the red-eye flight. Some of these guys will start 5 in the morning, conduct their business till 7, 8 o'clock at night, and guess what? It's a 3-hour trip back home, and they're home before midnight, back in their houses the same day.
Right. This episode is brought to you by Pulse Aviation. Your journey to unparalleled aviation excellence begins with Pulse Aviation. Whether you're seeking to acquire the perfect private aircraft, ensuring its airworthiness with a comprehensive pre-buy inspection, or maintaining peak performance, Pulse Aviation delivers unmatched expertise and personalized service. Our certified technicians and experienced sales professionals are dedicated to exceeding your expectations. From sourcing the ideal aircraft to ensuring its long-term reliability, we handle every detail with precision and care. We understand that your time is valuable. That's why we offer seamless, efficient solutions tailored to your unique needs. Contact Pulse Aviation today. Send us an email at info@pulseaviation.com to learn how we can elevate your aviation experience. And now back to the show. And what role does privacy and security play in the decision to owning and purchasing a private jet? I mean, there's got to be huge reasons for private aviation when it comes to security.
Absolutely. So if you think about it, athletes, singers, actors, you think about that role is huge for them. Because why? They're not dealing with paparazzi. They are not dealing with people that want their autograph. They want to take a photo. They want, what we see on TV. And the security is a factor, right? So you think about it. If you're a high net individual or somebody with fame, the last thing you want to do when you're traveling is have to be looking over your shoulder and wondering, what crazy fan or just anybody who just has any animosity or anything like that. So that plays a huge role. And again, touching base, your car, onto the plane, onto your destination. So those are all huge factors in this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about a celebrity, let's say one of the hottest celebrities currently in the world. I mean, they'd have to have 2 security, 3 security. I mean, going through the airport, I mean, that's just, that'll be a zoo in itself, right?
And the cost, the cost of a private security team, that'll be astronomical, not to mention they wouldn't have the ability to shut down a major airport so they can walk through.
Exactly. And that right there is ultimately the privacy, security, efficiency, even going back to that one, where, the airport can still operate and not lose itself because, you've got, a huge celebrity going down or even a huge politician. So Daniel, this last question, in what ways does the private jet enhance the flexibility in travel, especially for executives and entrepreneurs with demanding schedules?
All right, the biggest factor is diversions to us, non-private jet flyers, is kind of like a pain, right? Hey, I'm going Miami to New York, but guess what? That snowstorm just did what we call a diversion. You end up in another airport that's not planned. And that's a big inconvenience for the major public in the U.S., well, worldwide, I should say. It's a major inconvenience because you're not getting to your destination. Well, with private jets, here's the beauty. While in flight, that owner or that entrepreneur gets a phone call, and they're on their way to New York. You need to stop in Dallas now. We have the ability with private jets to get with ATC and say, hey, this is our flight plan. We're diverting to another city. They do it all in while they're in the air, 40,000 feet. They can divert to another airport while in the air for that convenience of that owner entrepreneur to meet that schedule, because we all know business is very unpredictable.
Yeah. So obviously you're allowed, as a jet owner, ultimately you're allowed that flexibility in travel where you're not forced. I mean, at the end of the day in commercial, you're forced on where you're going if there is a weather or something developing.
Because you're competing with 150 people that buy tickets and they're all trying to go to the same spot. Where, you're on a private jet, it's you, your family, your friends, whatever the case, business partners, whatever the case may be, you have that flexibility to meet that demand of what your business or what your schedule needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Well, Daniel, thank you a lot for your expertise in today's podcast. Folks, that's the end of this podcast. At this point, look, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, you like this video. And to watch our previous video where we talked about private jet ownership, click on this video right here, and you'll be able to watch our last episode we recorded last week. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.